Good morning. My name is Nancy Calvert. I'm honored and humbled to have been invited here to share my story with you. I feel blessed to have had so many amazing experiences during my 31-and-a-half-year career. I spent the first 20 years at Norfolk Naval Shipyard. When I began in 1987, very few women were training to become journeyman marine machinery mechanics, repairing Rosie Riveter. So in 1999, I began working as a technician in the engineering department. While there, I often did at-sea testing on nuclear aircraft carriers. And one of the really cool opportunities that our team had, was finding out how fast a plane stops when it hits the arresting gears on a carrier. And the 0 to oh no sensation you get when you're catapulted off. So in 2007, my husband and I came to Naval Sea Systems Command at the Washington Navy Yard, where I held several positions supporting the U.S. Navy's submarine program. I had the privilege of spending 5 days at sea underway on a ballistic missile submarine. And I tell you, that's a dream come true and oh so cool. After I retired in 2019, I began volunteering at several ministries supported by our church, St. Albans Episcopal in Annandale, one of the founding members of Samaritan Ministry. And I knew that volunteering would allow me to give back to the community and to honor the many people that have helped me along the way. As a volunteer front office coordinator at the NOVA office, I greet participants and I chat with them while they're waiting to speak with a caseworker. During the last 2 years, several interactions with participants have been very meaningful to me, and I'd like to share a couple with you. Last year, a young woman came in who was in a domestic violence situation. I sat with Nevaeh on the porch while Jane Bishop, our lead caseworker, called the police. While we waited for the police to arrive, I chatted with Nevaeh, got her some clothes and food that she could take with her. And she knew that she deserved to be more than a punching bag. And she took that first step to a better life. I was glad that I could be there and let her know that she was not alone. It was a very, very powerful moment for me. This experience reminds me daily how the roles could have been reversed, and I could have been the client had it not been for the compassionate and caring people that helped me along my path, as I too came from a place of pain and suffering. When I was young, somewhere around the age of 9, my father began emotionally and physically abusing me and my 11-year-old brother, Felix. One of the many things that he did was teach us how to box and wrestle so he could watch us fight like a couple of dogs. He'd tell us if we didn't really hit each other, he'd step in and do it for us. At first, we didn't want to fight. We loved each other and we didn't want to put our hearts into it, but that never worked out well for the loser. When I was around 12, my father started calling me horrible names and accusing me of doing things that I wasn't doing. Stealing, drinking, doing drugs. No matter what I said or did, he wouldn't believe me. I was hurt, angry, and began acting out. When I was nearing 14, he started coming into my room in the morning to wake me up with inappropriate touches. I told my mother, but of course he denied it. By that time, my self-esteem was non-existent, and I wasn't sure why my parents didn't love me anymore. I was emotionally drained and wound up taking a handful of my aunt's heart medication. I realized before it was too late that I didn't want to die. I told my aunt. She made sure I made it to the hospital to get my stomach pumped. One night, when I was 14, I called the police after a beating. And the police said they couldn't help me because my mother and father said I'd been in a fight with a friend. I began crying, and a very compassionate police officer said if I refused to go back into the house, he would contact someone that could get me into foster care. Calling the police and taking that first step to leave home remains one of the toughest things I've ever done. While in my second foster home, I began having lucid dreams that my father was killing my 4-year-old brother and 2-year-old sister. It was horrific, and I wound up in a mental hospital and was made a ward of the state before being placed in what became my forever foster home. Thankfully, the counseling I received, along with the love, guidance, and boundaries provided by my foster mom, helped me realize that what happened to me as a child was not my fault, and my mom dared me to dream again. When I turned 18, I was emancipated from foster care by the court and was now a family of one. If it hadn't been for my foster mom and dad allowing me to live with them, I too could have been homeless. And there are still times when I can sense that frightened little girl. And when that happens, I count my blessings, do my best to learn what I learned in counseling, and above all, I thank God for his amazing grace. On other occasions at Samaritan Ministries, I've had conversations with participants about their grief and their health struggles. One participant I spoke with just recently lost a dozen family members in the last 2 years, and another was recently diagnosed with a tumor. And I can empathize with their struggles, as my journeys as an adult has burdened me with similar issues. In the late 90s, I had reconnected with my biological siblings and was devastated when each of them passed away. My sister Victoria, at the age of 32, a few hours after giving birth to her only child 16 years ago. And both of my brothers in 2017, Felix in February at the age of 56, and Dave in May at the age of 44. After losing both my foster parents, all my biological siblings, and my birth mother last year, I wondered how my heart would heal. 2 years ago, I had a craniotomy to remove a tumor near my brainstem. Thankfully, it was not in my brain, and it's not cancerous. Unfortunately, the 3-month follow-up shows the tumor's back, and it's the same size. So, still working through the best path forward on that one. My wonderful husband, Bill, of 23 years, my son, Daniel Carruthers, great friends, and extended family have helped me navigate the waters of my life. And I know my emotional wounds will never fully heal, but I found that sharing parts of my journey with participants at Samaritan Ministry is both restorative for me and provides an opportunity to let them know that they are not alone on their journey and there is hope for a brighter future. I believe there's a light that shines in each of us, and I thank God for the people that have helped me and help continue to keep mine lit through their love, compassion, and understanding. Thank you, and God bless.